Hi, this is Dr. McCullough. Thanks for joining us. Today I have a special guest, Dr. Linley Dixon. She's the Associate Director of the Real Organic Project. She holds a Ph.D. in Plant Pathology from the University of Florida. In addition, she held a 2-year post-doctorate with the USDA's Systemic Botany and Mycology Laboratory, where she studied fungal plant pathogens from around the world. Dr. Dixon also owns a vegetable farm in Colorado, where she markets her produce through a CSA, farm to school, and at the farmer's market. Welcome to the program, Dr. Dixon.
Thank you so much for having me. It's fun to be here.
Great. Well, I'm so excited to talk about this issue with you because most of, I think, consumers are starting to wonder, what does the organic label really mean? And are there loopholes in it? So let's just jump right in. What is the Real Organic Project?
We are a grassroots, farmer-led movement, and we were created actually within the last 2 years to distinguish soil-grown and pasture-raised products under the USDA organic seal. And that's only because it's within the last 2 years that the National Organic Standards Board that recommends what organic should mean to the National Organic Program. It's a 15-member body. They actually took on this issue of whether or not hydroponic growing can be part of organic. And for now, it still is allowed. And that is something that the founding farmers who have been organic for years feel that it's not written in the original OFPA. It's called the Organic Foods Production Act, that they're pretty much the entire law is created around what organic farmers should be doing, not what substances they should leave off. So a lot of consumers, I think, believe that organic is just, well, it's no spray. But when you're an organic farmer, you understand that in order to have no sprays, you really have to take care of your land, have healthy soils, have a biodiverse area so that you can bring in some of those beneficial insects. And there's just so many things that you're thinking about in terms of soil health to create a healthy plant that isn't susceptible to pathogens and to insects. And so all of that encompasses organic farming. When you're a farmer, you understand all those things. And unfortunately, we actually have a governing body right now that isn't as in touch with the production agriculture behind organic farming and have come to see organic as simply no spray. And so the farmers have come together to remind the lawmakers what organic farming means. And our contention is that the law around organic is very good. We just need to stick to it. And so what happened in 2017 is that the Trump administration actually dropped the OLPP, which is the Organic Livestock and Poultry Practices Rule. And that also was a way to ensure that animals were getting true outdoor access, which is required by law. And so there are a lot of things that were happening simultaneously with the hydroponic battle that caused the farmers to come together to really almost kind of go outside the government because the government wasn't hearing them. They worked a long time to lobby for change. And because the government wasn't hearing it, they decided to come together and create an add-on label to USDA organic that says soil grown and pasture raised so that farmers can directly connect with consumers who care about these issues and want to find their products.
Okay, so let me pause right there and peel back some of the layers of this because this is a kind of a complicated topic. So you're saying, so the Real Organic Project was created by a group of farmers because they felt like the organic label was kind of losing its value or its meaning, like the prestige of the organic, that it's not just, okay, we don't spray with pesticides or herbicides. It also means historically, originally, they believe that the USDA organic definition meant that plants should be grown with soil and not hydroponically, meaning without soil, and that livestock should have access to pasture instead of being raised like on concrete slabs, for instance. And
Right.
If I hear you right, what you're saying is now lawmakers have changed the interpretation of the USDA definition of organic to say that it's still organic number one, even if a plant is grown in water and doesn't touch soil at all. And number two, it is still organic if the livestock never sees a blade of grass.
Right.
Is that true?
That is the case right now, and that OLPP was actually passed by the National Organic Standards Board, but the National Organic Program didn't accept it. They actually dropped that rule because they felt there would have too much of a market impact. And they're right. You know, if you're looking for an organic egg in the marketplace, over 80%, and this comes from the National Organic Program themselves, over 80% of the eggs that you find on the shelves that are organic in the marketplace come from confinement. So they've basically converted conventional poultry barns with 200,000 birds, put a little porch on for outdoor access, which is required by law. And if you have organic feed, they're calling that organic now. So yes, there's a huge change in what the definition of organic is. And so the Real Organic Project's mission is, in addition to creating this add-on label for consumers to be able to find these kind of real outdoor access, you know, what was the intent of the law for outdoor access, as well as, you know, crops that are grown in healthy soil. So in addition to creating that label, we're actually putting together an educational program coming from the farmers themselves. So every farmer who is certified by us has the opportunity to produce a Know Your Farmer video so that they can actually educate the consumers on these issues, because there is a disconnect between what the farmers have always done in organic farming and what the consumers who may be new to organics, so that they can fully understand everything that organic farming means, and also create a connection between the way we farm to, you know, having a healthy, nutritious product in the end, but also a healthier climate as well. And that's very much a part of what organic farming has always been.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that educational component because I was in the grocery store the other day and I saw this head of lettuce and it looked beautiful. It was, you know, brightly colored. There was, you know, no discoloration or little bites from animals on it or insects on it. And it was organic and I was about to buy it. And then it said hydroponic on it. So I was almost tricked by it because I wasn't aware that, you know, you could grow something hydroponically and it would still be organic. So that was the educational curve for me. So what does it mean to grow a plant hydroponically?
So a hydroponic product is something that gets all of the fertility that it needs through the fertigation or fertility enhanced water. So through the irrigation system. So all the nutrients a plant needs is provided by a product that the farmer will bring into the farm and put through the irrigation system. And traditionally, that has just been fertilizers. In organic farming, there are approved organic fertilizers, and some of those are like fish emulsion, or what is now this new product is, and most of the large tomato and berry producers are using hydrolyzed soybean meal. And there's no rules in the organic world about, because it's never been part of organic before, about, you know, how do we source this fertility and is it from a good source that's should be part of the organic rules. And that hydrolyzed soy is actually conventional GMO soy that they then hydrolyze or break down to a form that the plant can readily take up. And so
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
I hadn't heard this before.
Shocking.
So you can raise a plant, or you can claim that it's organic, raise it hydroponically, and part of what the nutrients that you're putting into the water to feed it comes from GMO soy?
That's right. And so we're essentially almost certifying thousands of acres of conventional soybeans, you know, completely for the use of fertility for organic hydroponics. And it is surprising because GMOs are excluded from USDA organic, but somehow this little loophole with hydroponics has allowed the fertility to come from conventional GMO soy. And so,
because it's not regulated?
Because nobody has defined what hydroponic growing for organic would mean. And if we actually went through that process, I'm sure that input would not be allowed. But because we haven't discussed this as a National Organic Standards Board, what standards are around hydroponics, It's just been kind of accepted, and the National Organic Program isn't doing anything about it. And so if you're Driscoll's or those, blueberries or Wholesome Harvest tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers, this is the way they are growing their food. And farmers have serious questions about not only the environmental implications, but the nutrient content of the berries and tomatoes that come from producing food in this way, because it's so dramatically different from the way that organic farmers have done it for centuries.
Okay, and that was going to be something else I asked you. So aside from the fact that they're using this GMO soy,
yeah,
processed soy products to feed these supposed organic plants, if you just look at hydroponics, itself, to me, the soil is absolutely critical for the health and well-being of the plant, if not anything else, in terms of the microbes that are in the soil. And as I'm sure you're aware, we are by far more microbe than human. When you look at the type of cells we have, I mean, estimates of anywhere between like 10 microbial cells to 1 human cell.
Right.
And we need these microbes to live. They coordinate, cellular functions throughout our body. And you're probably aware of this too, with your research background, that we're losing microbial diversity. And as we're losing diversity of the good microbes in and on our bodies, we're seeing increases in chronic disease rates. So there's a correlation there. And so one of my big concerns is these plants that are grown in the water, are they not getting the microbial diversity that plants would receive if they were grown in the soil? I mean, is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. And, we are lucky that we get to, as farmers market, our produce at a farmer's market. And the customers who understand this, they want carrots with a little bit of dirt on them still, because they know that they're going to get some of those bacteria are really going to help their gut. And they know that the vast majority of microbes out there are beneficial microbes. And as we sterilize our food and our environment, farmers are breathing in and, dirty hands breathing in this stuff all the time. And so we have a much greater connection with, how important a healthy soil is and how alive it is. And I feel like I've got a microbiome that's definitely impacted by the gorgeous dirt that I've created as a farmer over the last decade. And so our consumers who understand that are really excited not to get a picture perfect sterile product. They actually want a little bit of our healthy soil, because there is a lot of research out there that shows that there is a connection between a healthy gut and your immune response in a healthy human. So, and then we like to take it a step further, because the healthy soil and the healthy human, ultimately results in a healthy planet the way we're farming. We go so much above and beyond the organic standards and try to incorporate, recycling the leaves in the compost that, is generated from our community. All these things, composting and cover cropping, have been so much a part of what makes a farm organic. And when you think about how heavily dependent hydroponics is on inputs, and the same thing with those 200,000 bird buildings, they're completely dependent on the soy for that chicken to eat. Whereas if a chicken's out on pasture, a large portion of its diet is supplemented with insects and pasture. They actually like to eat weeds and leaves. And so all of this relates to the health of the bird, the health of the plant, and then the health of us. But if you look at the environmental impact of those inputs, what we're trying to do is really minimize how much is coming in off of our farm and generate a lot of the nutrients that our farm needs through things like cover cropping, green manures, composting. All that stuff is very environmentally friendly and also creates a healthier product for you.
Okay, so more like regenerative practices.
Absolutely. We would have no need for the word regenerative if organic farming would actually follow its own rules.
Yeah, excellent point. Okay, so another question I have with the hydroponics is, I've seen a lot of debate lately. It's going into mainstream now, about some people claiming that the nutritive quality of the hydroponically grown plants is actually higher than the nutritive quality that you would get from organic plants, meaning you're going to get higher levels of certain nutrients in a plant grown hydroponically than you would in a plant grown in the soil. And they're claiming it's because, oh, we can add extra nutrients, you know, through this chemical slurry or whatever you call it of these, you know, of these
Sure.
processed byproducts. You can put them into the water and increase the level of nutrients that are in these hydroponic plants. So what is your opinion on that claim?
Yeah, I would say that's really reductionist thinking. As a Ph.D. Soil scientist and plant pathologist, you know, when you're studying these diverse biological systems, I think it's really, of course, you know, if we could just take a vitamin and it would get everything that we needed, we would be doing that right now. There would be no need for agriculture or cooking or any of the stuff that we do every day, but we don't know enough about nutrition in order to just take a diet supplement. So, you know, of course, if you want to measure something simple, you know, like vitamin C or something like that, you can pump a little bit more. But organic farmers have always had respect for the complexity of nature and, you know, this realization that we'll never be able to document everything that is happening. And there's so much research that supports this, especially if you start looking at soil science and the complexity of the plant microbe interactions in that root zone. There's so much going on. And so, yeah, if you look at one thing, I'm sure that the hydroponic producers might be able to put that into their irrigation system, but why not just take a vitamin if you think that's what health is, right? If you want a little bit more vitamin C, why pump it into your tomato? Just take a vitamin C pill. But organic farmers contend that there is so much more going on than just looking at a few things when it comes to health.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're learning over and over about nature in general, is that it is so complex, and we don't even know about most of the organisms that are in the soil, right? There's so much we don't know, and so much about the interaction. I mean, we're just now learning that you know, the microbes communicate through all cells in your body. I mean, you know, you asked us that 10, 15 years ago, and you probably would have thought I was like, you know,
Crazy.
wacko or a conspiracy theorist or whatnot. So
Right.
we're learning that there's all these layers of complexity. And for me, there's just real lack of humility, right?
Yeah.
That we know best and we know better than nature. So let's do some, it reminds me of like genetic modification, right?
Right.
We know more than God and than nature. So let's manipulate some stuff and eat that, and we're all going to be better off than how we just let nature thrive, you know? And
They call it microbial dark matter.
what was
And
that?
that's microbial dark matter. And that's this idea that we know less than 1% of what we have described, even just given it a name, never mind what it's actually doing ecologically.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And then all the interactions between those organisms too.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so my last question for you is about this add-on label that the Real Organic Project is creating. So what does the label stand for, and how can a consumer find this label?
The label stands for soil-grown, pasture-raised, organically produced products. And that, you know, by saying real organic, that's what we contend. If you actually are really wonky and want to get into the law, if you go read the Organic Foods Production Act of 1990, you'll agree that that's what the law actually says. So we've just gone astray. So we have not released a label yet because we are a grassroots effort. We're out there interacting with farmers, talking to them about what organic means to them, and producing these Know Your Farmer videos to connect with the consumers. And our real goal is to create transparency in the marketplace, because it's so confusing to be a consumer right now. I know so much about this, and I get confused when I go to the marketplace because there are so many unverified claims. There are so many different labels that say things that we're not sure are actually what is happening. And so our goal is to actually connect, you know, much in the way that a farmer's market does, but connect that farmer to the consumer and actually show the consumer what the farm looks like and talk to the farmer through these Know Your Farmer interviews. So go check them out on our website. As we're building the movement, we're showing more and more voices of farmers about what they believe organic farming is and what they want consumers to care about. And so subscribe to our newsletter, and you can, it's mostly an educational movement at the moment, just reaching out to other farmers and consumers so that we can hold on to USDA organic. It really is, there's so much behind that label, and we'd really like for it to stay, to have integrity. Otherwise, we're going to be confused again. Like, for example, the non-GMO label was unnecessary because USDA organic is non-GMO. And so you find the non-GMO label, but it's also covered in pesticides. And so people are purchasing that non-GMO label, but they're not realizing that that also means that it's just conventionally produced. So we need one label to really stay strong, and we're hoping that remains USDA organic. There's a lot of farmers out there that are fighting for it, so that should be a good sign.
Oh, that's a great sign. So your website is realorganicproject.org. And right now people can go on there and they can see get to know your farmer videos, right? And if I'm hearing you correctly, the ultimate intention is, well, if you could preserve the USDA organic label, that would just be ideal. If not, then it's to create this add-on label, and people could figure out, right, which farmers have that add-on label by going to your website eventually, right? Because you'll have the educational video from that farmer, and these farmers will have been certified through your program to carry this new add-on label. Is that correct?
Yes, in an ideal world, we would disappear and the USDA would just do our job. But in the meantime, we're trying to connect those organic consumers to the farmers who are actually, following the rules right now.
So that's fantastic. And so right now is there no, since this is in flux, there's no plan for when a label would be released, correct?
We're hoping to release one this winter. That's our plan.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's a fairly controversial name. So we're trying to figure out whether that will fly. Real Organic Project.
Yeah.
In the meantime, that's what we're called.
Okay, and so consumers can stay up to date on if and when a new label, this add-on label, is released by signing up for your newsletters, right? Going on to realorganicproject.org and subscribing there, and then you'll be able to notify them, right?
Sure,
So
we put out a video a week, so you'll get to see our Know Your Farmer videos every week if you subscribe.
Okay, fantastic. So my last question then is, since this add-on label isn't available yet, and the USDA organic label, in my opinion, is compromised right now. When a consumer walks into the store today, I'm thinking of, they're looking at the labels now, and now they know, okay, this is a loophole now in this organic label. So if they're looking, for instance, for eggs, chicken eggs,
right?
And they see if it says organic and then it says pasture-raised, is that truly pasture-raised?
The best, I hate to say it, but the organic is verified. The pasture-raised at this point isn't. And so the best thing to do is to take a look at the brand that you're purchasing from and learn more about it, and make sure that, the picture that's on the image of the cover is actually what's happening. And the cornucopia scorecards are really good for that. And hopefully our Know Your Farmer videos can fill in some of the holes too. The best thing to do is buy a local organic egg if you can do that, because then you can see the farm. So reconnecting consumers to their farmers would be an ideal world. But yeah, when you're in the marketplace, it's buyer beware at this point. But those organic and pasture are the two things you're looking for.
Okay, fantastic. All right, and thank you so much for taking your time to explain this complicated issue to us, and for allowing us the opportunity to support you. And if it does come down to you needing to create this add-on label, I hope you'll come back and tell us that it's been launched and how we can find it.
I would love to do that. Thanks for helping us spread the word.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right, till next time, have a good day.